A really tough one for us, just starting off right off the bat, about the ball. The turnovers make it difficult. They had a few more explosive plays than we did throughout the day. So when you're accumulating the turnovers and the explosive plays, then all of a sudden your mode really shifts, and they put us into, football where we're chasing, and we had to throw it more, and that's when their pass rush can start to get after you. And they were comfortable with the lead, running the ball and executing that. So it really, really flipped the style of complementary football that we've been playing for a couple of weeks now, and just made it really challenging on us yesterday.
How does this show maybe the fine line for teams that's trying to establish who they are between the things you got to do to be competitive and win versus getting blown out?
Yeah, because at a certain point, you just have to compete. And I felt like in the flow of the game and where we were at in the second half, I felt like we got to go. We just got to go for it. And, we had been finding ways to make plays, Bryce moving around, finding creative throws to guys working for him. And, we found one drive where it came to life and we had some success, but we weren't able to sustain it. And they did a great job. I think, we talked about the Cowboys for the last month and just the progression that team has taken, and they played great football yesterday, and we, starting with the football, we played right into their hands, and they took another step. And so we got to come back to the drawing board and look at what were the things that we can shore up.
You asked yesterday if it felt like a step back from the progress that had been made. Do you still feel that way after taking a closer look at this?
Certainly with the football, I certainly felt like, the ball security, just finishing the play, ending with the ball that way. And then just some of the pre-snap things offensively, we just felt like our operations, we had some false starts, we had some things happen that way. And the Cowboys had a share of theirs too, but, for us, it's just about taking advantage of the week of work, the preparation that goes into it, the intentionality to try to replicate that game type of speed, and I feel like we can be more polished in that regard.
Did you see any common threads in Bryce's 2 fumbles and or his 2 interceptions?
Honestly, just finishing the ball with security, in a vulnerable situation, you're going down to the ground, we got to go down with 2 hands to lock it and protect it. That's a vulnerable spot that we try to highlight and talk about. The other one was on a sack. So that's, again, sacks happen. It's like we hate sacks, but at the same time, it's not the worst thing. Is let's play with the ball. If we got to live with the 3rd and longer or 2nd and longer or something like that, we can do that. But just taking care of those things, and then I thought the Thielen was a bang play, a great play by the defender Lewis on that one, and the ball caromed up, right into Kendrick's hands. But I thought we had a surface on that one, and I thought he made a great play on that.
Dave, you said
despite the turnovers, is that kind of a sign that, hey, you've seen a lot of good things, and maybe there were enough other things in this game that you saw that make you think he's still the guy?
Yeah, I got to say, his demeanor and response to the challenges and the adversity we faced in the game, for Bryce to continue to play with confidence, to continue to see the coverage, to see the routes develop, throw the ball to number 1. He just stayed consistent that way, and even in coming off to the sideline, talking to the guys. And I felt his confidence. I felt confident to continue to try to, work our way back into that game. And unfortunately, we weren't able to do that. But he gave me the confidence to feel like, let's just keep rolling. And I feel the same way this week.
Dave, after the game, you kind of explained why you went to the pass game so quickly. I know hindsight is 20/20, but is there any regret in throwing the ball so early and kind of getting away from designed runs?
I wrestled with it, yeah, for sure. And I just felt the whole flow of it, and I felt the success that the Cowboys were having too, on the other side. And I felt like, the accumulation of the last couple of weeks and our ability to find success in the pass game, so I felt that we would have a chance to be balanced that way and to try to get a few more, first downs. But with the turnovers and then the points, and then all of a sudden, we come out in the second half, we take a sack and fumble right off the bat. And it was like the score put us in a situation where I'm always for competing, and I think you would ask any of our players, they want us to go. They want to be aggressive and say, okay, well, let's get after it and try to attack these guys to work ourselves back into the game. And so I don't regret that at all.
The offensive line has been a top 5 unit as far as sacks allowed. Other than, I guess, the Cowboys being able to be more aggressive defensively because of Panthers playing from behind. What do you
Yeah.
think led to the issues yesterday?
Yeah, just opportunity. Like when you give a defense that many opportunities to rush the passer, that's when your rushes. It's very similar to like a running back gets into a flow and a rhythm. Pass rushers do the same thing, and they start to set you up. And the more ops you give them, here comes this stunt. Then the guy does this okey doke inside to outside move, and so I think the flow of it just gave them a lot of opportunities, and then they mixed in some cool pressures in there that caused us to be hot a couple of times. So. It was just the number of opportunities I think that accumulated, and I think the guys, the offensive line, they would tell you themselves too. There were things that they would like to have back as well, but it was just an opportunity thing.
Dave, where does Leggett stand, and any thoughts to shutting him down for the season, or is that a decision at this point? Where is that?
He's week to week right now. I think that we're still doing all the workup on that for him right now. We'll give you a better picture of that in the next couple of days. But right now we see him as week to week, and I'd love for him to have a chance to finish strong with us.
Is that with the groin or the wrist or both?
The groin.
And is he out visibly?
He should be. I would think so. But we have to kind of like put him through the ringer and see what the strength is and see if we can get him back to form.
The run defense has been a problem all season. I know yesterday you said back to basics, but after looking at tape, do you see any other opportunities for improvement there? There have been a lot of questions about the scheme and whether the team fits the scheme.
Yeah, it's really just all we have. All we have right now is to play our schemes and play them well and try to improve that. And that's where we have to go. We can do different things, and we've made different calls to try to combat it. And it's about execution. But this is the only place to go. Is we're playing the Cardinals. Here's how they like to run the ball. What's our plan to attack that? And play good team football and tackle that way.
Dave, I know you're always building. You've said that from the beginning. No expectations for this particular seasonal success necessarily. At what point do you look to 2025 and maybe make decisions like, okay, let's get these rookies, these reps at these positions, say over some veteran guys?
Honestly, I got to take it every opponent with the utmost and highest respect. The Cardinals can be an explosive team at times. I know they've had their struggles, but I've also seen them play really explosive ball offensively, and defensively they got a really good scheme, and it really requires us to put our best foot forward, and we have to be focused that way. Alex, I can't think about the long-term things that way. I really have to make sure our guys are locked in from week to week.
The run defense, in the very first game of the season, it seems
Yeah.
like that's not been good.
Yeah.
How much is that when you look back, losing Derek the first game and then Shine the second? And is that something you feel like it's got to be a primary thing to address during the offseason?
I think it's something to look at for sure. I think right now it's like I just owe it to these guys who are working their butts off to try to get things right, and I respect our guys too much to look again to the same kind of answering this question the same way. These guys play so hard, and they're so into it, and they're working together to get it right, and the coaching staff as well. That it really just requires all of our energy to be focused on the Cardinals and how they're going to try to run the ball against us.
How much has that been a product of what you've seen this season? Results you've seen this season defense?
What's that?
How much the run defense it's been a product of what the team has been shooting?
Yeah, it's when we do better on offense and we can play complementary football, we're stronger on defense. When we put them out there and we have a bunch of 3 and outs and penalties and turnovers, every defense gets exposed, particularly ours. So the goal is to try to get us to play that complementary football where we can all carry the load, and that's been our best performances.
EJ plays a lot of obviously zone coverage, but there was a series yesterday where CeeDee Lamb kind of took it over. Has there been any thought to letting JC do more shadowing when there's a guy of Lamb's caliber who can take a game?
There's certainly things that we can do. I don't want to get too much into scheme and all that, but it's just a combination of a bunch of different things, and it's not all just about coverage. There's all these other pieces that fit in. What style of rush you want to try to get done, and then who's covering where. And when you start moving JC around, like there's other factors, So I think that all of that goes into consideration going into these game plans, and so it's a mix of those things.
Why haven't you done more of that? Is that not JC's forte, or is it
It's the same thing. It's got to be a combination of things, you know, and just being aware of all the vulnerabilities and when you can and can't do that.
Do a couple more.
Jalen Coker now holds the record for most. I fumbled it when I told it to him yesterday. When Jalen Coker now holds the record for most undrafted receiving yards for an undrafted rookie in Panthers history. If you can follow all that. Just your general reaction to that, and how important is it to have him back in the line?
I'm proud of Jalen. I'm proud of what he's made of the opportunities that he's gotten. And he continues to show up in big ways, somebody that we can certainly count on. He's a rookie. There's lots of things that we're working on as well through this process, you know. That's for Jalen. Be humble. And but it is really cool for Rob Moore, who spends a lot of time with him, for some of the veteran guys that spend time pouring into these young receivers, you know, Adam and David Moore. But to see Jalen, to see Xavier, you know, have success when they do is certainly encouraging, and I'm glad he's here.
What do you think of the Heisman Trophy winner this year that was named on Saturday, and what are your thoughts on a two-way player in the NFL?
I think about Deion Sanders. You know, he had his way to do it. You know, Coach Prime, and so you know he's kind of right there with somebody who could mentor him through some of that. You know, and I think it would be a challenge. I think it would be a good challenge, a good problem to talk through for any team to get a player of that caliber. And so. Yeah.
To Alex's earlier question about, do you start looking at development guys over these last 3 weeks? What's more important, that versus trying to grab a couple more wins and sort of breed a little more winning culture into that locker room?
Yeah, I think it's important to set the culture that every game is a championship opportunity, because you look back and you watch the film and you see these games, whether you're at home or on the road, and you just try to replicate the importance of each one, the importance of each day, each practice. So that's first and foremost. Like, that's the culture that we would love to have, is that we hold each opponent in such high regard. We hold each opportunity that we have in such high regard. And then within that, Joe, like where have the young players shown us to be effective? Where have those young players, what are they showing that we could potentially use, you know, as we continue to build? But again, like, my focus can't go too far out into the future for the respect of the guys that have this opportunity today on our 2024 Panthers team, and I owe it to them, to the coaching staff who are working hard to get these guys ready and troubleshoot the issues that we talk about, you know, that we're trying to face. So, you know, it's the thoughts are there, but at the same time, it's got to be about this week, and I want the guys to get used to that. Like, this is the most important game that we have.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Yep. All right, thank you.